Hello and welcome back to Dear CEO, a limited series from iGaming Daily in association with IGP. I'm Charlie Horner from SBC, and as always, I'm joined by CEO of IGP, Jovana Popovic Canaki. Jovana, how are you doing today? It's episode 4 now. Are you managing to get into the swing of things?
Hi, Charlie. Good to see you again. Absolutely. I'm actually missing the podcast in between the episodes. No, it's great. Just returned from SBC Miami, from Fort Lauderdale. Still a bit jet lagged. It was a great event. And as we are in between the podcast episodes, we're also in between the SBC events.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are going to Malta in a short while, and you'll be there, and you're moderating a panel. Could you tell us a little bit about that, and how excited are you to be on the stage?
Of course, I'll be there. It would be, I can't miss an event that's in Malta, and I'm based here. I'm really excited about this one, though. I'll be taking part in two panels. One as a panelist, but this is something I've done in the past. It's going to be my debut as a moderator. And this one is super exciting because of mainly because of two things. One is the fellow panelists, the very esteemed guests that I'll be navigating through their discussions, and the topic. The topic goes about how nowadays leaders navigate through regulations, through new market entries, through gaming innovations, and given that the panelists are of that scale and experience, I think we're going to have a fantastic discussion. So I'm going to use this opportunity to invite everyone who'll be in Malta to join us on this panel. I believe it's day 1, but you can always check the schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a star-studded panel. We'll put the details in the description of the episode, and I'm sure with such an esteemed panel that not many people will be missing that one. So yeah, we'll be looking forward to that. Let's dive into things. We'll just remind the listeners about the series and how this works. So this is the series where you can ask your most burning industry questions to a genuine expert. We pick the topic, you ask your questions, and Jovana provides her specialist insights. And today, we're talking about KPIs and KPIs that operators should be tracking. It's an interesting one because I guess as a CEO, Jovana, you're always looking at numbers and interpreting what it means for your business and how you make decisions going forward.
Yes, in fact, they do. I mean, I come with a finance background. I was supposed to be an auditor. I was in my parallel life, but not only as a CEO. I find even when I was having other roles, I found my everyday starting with the numbers and ending with the numbers. That's one of the crucial elements that you need to look at to be able to run, navigate, and manage the business.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right. Without interpreting the numbers properly, it's like doing your job with a blindfold on, I guess.
100%.
Excellent. Well, let's dive into the first listener question then. And this is, how have important KPIs evolved over the last 3 to 5 years? And how do you think they will evolve over the next 3 to 5 years?
Good question. I like to have a look at the throughout at things throughout the timeline. I mean, KPIs and numbers, they're a living thing, the same way as the businesses, and our business gaming has changed and has evolved in the last 5 years, hasn't it? Um, and I'd say that it's not the ones that we looked at 3 or 5 years ago or 7 years ago that they don't matter anymore. I think it's just that they're not enough anymore. We can't look at only at those that we used to 5 years ago. And just looking forward, I'm 100% sure that the same set that we are looking at today, that it won't be the same. It will change. Okay, so let's look at the timeline. Let's go 5 years back. I think that back then operators were focused much more on acquisition of the players, or on getting them in. So the KPIs that we're looking at are the FTDs, the number of FTDs, the deposit count, the GGR, the turnover, or the bets, wagers, and probably a few others. But these were essential, and don't get me wrong, they still are. We still today look at them, but looking only at these that I mentioned is painting a very short-term picture, because just as an example, you could have a massive GGR. Like, you wake up in the morning and you see, there's a big GGR coming from a particular affiliate source that might later on turn out to be a bonus hunting traffic or whatever. But if the retention was low from this particular source, then that growth is unsustainable. So uh, this is why I'm saying that today we look at many more, and we looked at them combined. So today, industry, with the, let's say, regular or natural evolution, we are much more focused on retention of the player, or on keeping them engaged, on player value, and of course on combined looking at the sustainability of these KPIs. You can just name a few, and they will not be new. It's not something that we came up with yesterday. These KPIs have been there. So lifetime value, retention matrix, ARPU. In LTV has become the central, or one of the central KPIs of an operator analysis. But it's not longer about how much a player deposited in day one, or week one, or week two. We're looking into future. We're looking how much value, at what level of value this or this player or group of players will bring over the 6, 12, 18 months. Some look at 2 years, 3 years. Because why do we need this? Yeah, every KPI, every number, you look at it, you need to know the purpose of it. What do we want to achieve? Based on this, then, apologies, based on the LTV, you define the marketing budget for that specific acquisition channel. You define the retention budget for certain player cohorts. And by looking at them in a granular way, you can fine tune. The same goes with the retention metrics. Day one, 7, 15, 30, 45. They're crucial. They show an operator whether the player onboarding, the CRM, or is effective, or the whole user experience is working, or it's not working. Back in the days, we're focusing more on the monthly ones, 30, 60, 90. And today we look much more granular. ARPU, an oldie but goodie, it definitely kept its importance in analysis, and but also the cost per active user. And we go more into the acquisition source, per acquisition source. And as I mentioned, they understanding those numbers, they help you navigate and fine tune marketing budgets, cut bad traffic, discover maybe affiliate fraud, and so on. So we don't look today just as a ARPU per brand, as of the face value, as we did in the past. We have added many more parameters to this equation, and it's beautiful. In general, I want to emphasize that it's not that we were not looking, or were not aware of these KPIs 5 years ago. It's more about that they've become a part of automated systems within an operator ecosystem. Back in the days, what did we have? Maybe not 5, but I'm going a bit more than 5. We had these endless Excel's exports and doing analysis on them. I remember the nights with VLOOKUPs and pivoting, and that was normal, you know. Today we might just do it for fun. I admit I do it sometimes for fun. I can be nostalgic. Um, but today we have these smart systems with products, real-time data products that just spit out all these KPIs, and not just that, they give us the gaps to the budgeted ones, or the deviations plus minus from the benchmarks and the targets that we have set, allowing us to make then those good decisions, proper decisions, and manage the business better. And where will it bring us? Yeah. So what's in next 5 years? I don't think that the KPIs will change as much. They will still all be there, and the same set that we know, but certain will gain more importance and more focus. And I believe that the future will bring more focus on the player quality and not just the quantity, and we won't be only chasing big numbers. I believe that something like engagement score, as in tracking behavioral patterns of the players and the frequency of the usage of the product, will become more important. The churn risk forecasting that will base on maybe some with the help of AI, on not just 1, 2, 3 parameters, but 17 or 27 or 37, like combining them into one. And in general, the evolution of the KPIs will for sure continue towards the predictive KPIs, connecting all of them. Connecting all the results or the movements into the automated action. So where we will have the system perform the action based on the analysis.
Yeah, it seems like the journey that you've described, it's the data is getting more and more granular, and that makes us be able to make better and better decisions, and that's going to continue into the future. Let's move on to the second listener question, and this one might be a little bit controversial to some listeners, but I think it would be really interesting to hear your thoughts on this, because I think it's really important, again, to that decision-making process. And that is, which KPIs do you think are vanity figures, which don't truly matter but are monitored to make companies look good?
Yes, not everyone might like this, but these um, type of metrics are present. Companies use them, teams use them. Um, I'll admit, if I have a bad day, I would look at one of those. So they do serve a purpose sometimes, just to cheer you up. But they're nothing else but this. It's in the definition of the term. What you can take them, you can look at them to cheer you up on a bad day, but you shouldn't be looking at them as the ones that you're going to be basing your decision on, because those decisions would not be quality decision for sure. Maybe short term, but not sustainable, and not long term, 100%. They're nothing else, just flashy or sexy numbers that they don't even tell you much about the business. They don't tell you much about the health of the business. Couple of examples. They are one of those, like signups or number of registrations. So you wake up. Again, I'm saying you wake up in the morning, because one of the first things I do over my coffee is look at the numbers. So we had 10,000 new users in a day. Wow, fantastic. But so what? So what? If the next one that you look at, conversion rate is 1%, something's not right. That first feeling over morning coffee was like, wow, what a great day we had. But then, you look at the rest of, and you see that something was not right, and we might even, or the operator might have even lost money. And the first The first entry never reflects the reality of the business. I give you another one, gross deposits. This might not sound nice to some, because today a lot of teams, a lot of operators, and the rest of the industry still do look at gross deposits. And again, waking up in the morning, you see 2 million, 1 million, whatever million, and it looks nice, but you need to look at what the reason is behind. It might have been a super high bonus offer from a specific affiliate, or anything else that caused this spike, even a bug. And it might, if it was a bonus offer that went super high due to whatever reason, it might actually mean the opposite. We might have burned the money. So it's not a good KPI. One of those that have been used in the past a lot, and I've seen operators measure their CRM campaigns by this one, and I believe their vanity metric is number of bonus claims. How many times, how many players have claimed the bonus within a specific campaign. Okay, so let's imagine a reactivation campaign. You sent it to a number of players, and 80% of the players have claimed the offer. The face value, it sounds fantastic, right? 80% of the players have opened your email, read the email, clicked on it, came to the site, claimed the offer. But the question is, how many of those have actually came back after this, after they used up a bonus? How many of them have made the deposit and really got reactivated? Because if they churn again, then this KPI doesn't tell you much. And I just gave you 2, 3 examples, yeah. But you see the common thing between them. There is it's the thing where you don't look at the whole picture. You just look at one tiny bit of the story. You close your eyes, you're blindfolded on the whole picture, and that's where the problem lies. This is why they're dangerous, and operators should watch out. If you just look at one part of the story and you are super excited about the success, the decisions that you make, then based on this, might be quite dangerous for the business as a total, because they will never lead to sustainable growth. You might see these spikes, but they won't be constant, and the whole thing just might simply crash.
Yeah, it's right that you say that there's warning signs for operators to take away from this, and it's important to point out those vanity metrics, those ones that they're nice to have but don't necessarily paint a full picture. But on Dear CEO, we like to end on a positive note and bring positive ideas to the table. So for the third listener question, let's go to this one, and that is, which KPIs are most predictive of long-term success for newer operators? So if I'm opening a new online casino or a sports book, which metrics are showing that full picture that we want?
Let's explore it for Charlie Bet. It's a super interesting question. It's not an easy one. It is, one of the dangers of a new operator is that they might be blinded by the great success of the launch. There's a super hype around the brand that is, fresh. Charlie Bet, it's super fresh, it's innovative, it's great, and there's this hype around it. But this hype of annuity, well, it will fade, it will tone down, and that's when the real numbers come in place. It is not easy to define which KPIs in particular can predict or not predict. Again, it's just a prediction, right? Nevertheless, I think we can come up with a few. They need to be looked at for sure in the first few months after the launch. because if they're not, then it's not a prediction. Retention, I did mention it before. The retention, but granular retention, 7, 15, 30, 45, 60, and so 70, 75 days. And this you need to, of course, you need to measure it closely to see what is the stickiness of your new product. Is it just, this hype, they come and they go, or they really do enjoy their time, within your product? And it's not even this is not enough. You need to look at against the benchmark on this particular market, and set the base for your own operation, because it does show more or less every single bit of your brand, the flow on the site, the help desk efforts, how CRM is performing, RG interactions, etc., etc. I definitely look this one, so the retention one, in combination with the ARPU by source for the new operator specifically, so that you can measure the effectiveness of the campaign and track your return on investment, and be able to fine tune on a daily basis, every deal that you made for the player acquisition. And then if the campaigns were based on bonuses, then obviously need to add the bonus ROI to the equation. And having, these three or four looked at together, you can actually see how much of the budgets of the investment translates into the retained players, with a certain ARPU or with a certain lifetime value. One more that is, I believe, quite unutilized by teams in the industry, is cross-product conversion. That is, if Charlie Bet will have, sports and casino. So if your brand will be a sorry, I just gave you the brand. I decided you are launching
I think it's a perfect brand. Perfect. No notes.
Good. So if Charlie Bet or any other brand would have a multi-vertical strategy, then a good cross-product conversion is definitely one of those that might predict the long-term success of this brand. We don't, as an industry, I don't think we pay much or enough is a better word, enough attention to the cross sell. We still look at it more as a CRM tactics, to increase the performance by the end of the month to reach the target. But if you set a cross product conversion, a cross sell, as an onboarding goal for your brand, for the new brand, you might actually find out something interesting. You might see that the retention within those segments is much higher, and obviously this then brings long-term or longer-term monetization at the level where you want to be. For the new operators, I think this one needs to be looked within the first week or two of the FTD. This is the key. This is what I would look at. And maybe one of my most favorite ones, there are different definitions, different names to it, but it's segment leftover baseline. What exactly is that? It's where you basically measure a player segment, whichever you choose. You can go for one from a specific acquisition source. You can go for segregated per campaign from the same acquisition source. So you take that player segment performance and you measure it against the overall average. And you do that for every segment in your brand. Why? Why is that important? Today, the reality of today is that still many teams, I dare to say most teams, look at the blended performance and not the segmented ones. By doing that, you might miss out on some opportunities, some gems. With, I don't know, like some small player segment or some smaller affiliates, where in reality, if you would look at them segmented and measure it, towards your overall average, you would see that you would you would need to double or triple acquisition or retention budget, but you wouldn't know that if you're looking only at the blended performance. The devil is always in the details. And there's a number of others. We probably would need much more time for me to go into all of them. But one thing, whichever of these KPIs I mentioned, and even if you add more, you're looking at what's important for a new operator and how you can, with a bit more certainty, predict the success, is you need to look at the consistency of the KPIs. The consistency is week over week, month over month. And I'm not talking about 1,000,000% increase or 10,000% increase. I'm talking about a consistent growth and consistent improvement of the KPIs, because that calls for stability. Because those spikes, can be caused by multiple short-term things, even by the hype of a new brand, because Charlie Bet is attractive, right? This hype fades away. We're all excited, and in 2-3 months, it's a regular work. And nowadays, everyone can buy traffic, everyone can get players in. What is something that not everyone can do is fake the loyalty of the player and have that stability and loyalty within the brand month over month.
Excellent. Jovana, that was absolutely fantastic, and I'm sure that Charlie Bet and all the other genuine operators on the market are going to be set up for long-term success with those KPIs in their toolbox. So thank you very much again for your expertise. To the audience, thank you very much for listening. If you're going to be at SBC Summit Malta, please make sure you go down and see Jovana, both as a panelist and as a moderator. And don't forget to join us next time for another episode of Dear CEO.
Thank you.